All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to what is now the second of the Awesome Materials Marketplace industry-specific Google Hangouts. Today we're focusing in on the medical device manufacturing industry. Just to start out, anybody that's not familiar with the technology that we're using right now, we are recording this live. If you're interested in participating, sending questions or comments, please do so in the little Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. Is that correct, Daniel?
That's correct. Or it might actually be to the side of your screen, depending on what device you're on.
Excellent. So please, we do encourage participation. So, shout out, I guess type out to us whenever you have something to say, and we will stop and answer any questions folks have.
Great. So I had the opportunity to meet with a number of folks yesterday from the Texas Medical Device Alliance. So Joaquin and I will be giving a little more detailed program introduction for the newcomers that we have joining us today. So to jump right in, the Awesome Materials Marketplace is a new program. It's sponsored by the City of Austin, and our goal is to bring together businesses of all sizes and entrepreneurs to create closed-loop systems in which one company's waste is another company's raw material. This type of industrial and commercial level waste diversion is integral to helping us goal of getting to zero waste by 2040.
So yeah, it's a huge goal. It's one that the business community has already and needs to continue playing a major role in. One of those industries, the medical device manufacturing industry, is a really interesting one here in the city. It's part of a pretty rapidly growing industry. It's the Texas Medical Device Alliance said that in 2009 they had 35 members. Today they have over 400 across the state. So it's something we're really going to dive into here in a minute. I want to quickly, before we do that, remind people that right now the Awesome Materials Marketplace, we did launch, 3 months ago? We have 25 active participants in the network right now. They range from large organizations like St. Edward's University and 3M, all the way to kind of mid-range manufacturers and like a couple breweries in the brewery industry, all the way to some of our very well-known semiconductor manufacturers like Spansion. So it's the network so far is growing, and it does span across a lot of industries, and we have some really unique and innovative ideas coming out of it already. And we kind of look forward to progressing those and moving those forward.
Yeah. The strength of our network really does hinge on that. Well, it allows us to identify and implement some really unique and innovative reuse opportunities that we just wouldn't find otherwise without that diversity. We want to give just a quick plug for our first program working meeting, which is coming up next week on Wednesday morning from 8:30 to 12:45 p.m. It'll be a really, really exciting and neat event. Similar to the program itself, the goal, the objective is to bring together as many businesses and organizations as we can and get them in the same room and talk about our byproducts, our waste, brainstorm about ways to reuse those byproducts and that waste, and really use this to form some face-to-face relationships with one another that'll keep us comfortable working together in these new and kind of groundbreaking ways.
Yeah, so again, just to reiterate, this is open to existing participants as well as businesses that are interested in learning more, right, Daniel? So if you're not quite sold yet, please do come, participate, contribute, meet the network, meet us, and hopefully we can bring you into the fold and begin working with you too.
Yeah, and at the very least, you'll get a good cup of coffee and some good inspiration.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's jump right in then. The medical device industry. As I kind of started to say, the medical device industry is already quite large and growing within the city of Austin and across the state of Texas. Like I said, more than 400 medical device manufacturers across the state right now, producing a wide range of waste. You know, this is not a homogeneous industry. They don't produce one type of thing that produces one type of waste. So in one way that makes it somewhat of a challenging industry to work with from a waste stream perspective, but there's also a ton of opportunity there. You know, kind of tangentially, the medical device industry, you know, produces goods and products that sell to markets across the country, across the nation, primarily in, you know, the public health industry. That's one that here in Austin is growing. You know, we have over 30 hospitals in the city of Austin, and there's constantly more popping up to, you know, serve the growing population. So, you know, both of these are, you know, both the medical device industry and the public health industry are booming in this town, and you know, at the same time, you know, they're both very focused on cleanliness and sterilization. These are big goals in the manufacturing of medical devices. Doesn't mean they don't produce waste, though, right? It's something that I think we really need to focus in on here and recognize that even, you know, highly technical and highly professional industries like this, they do produce waste, and sometimes in large quantities. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I want to get started a little bit more about the material types that this industry produces. Like I said, they range in the types of products they manufacture, so that waste stream is going to range. You know, it ranges. They make things all the way from tongue depressors and thermometers to, you know, prosthetics and implants and highly technical air filtering devices and chemical filtering devices, right? These are span industries from IT industries to, you know, metal manufacturing industries to chemical manufacturing industries, right? This is a pretty large chunk to bite off here. So, you know, like I said, it's a challenge, but an opportunity. I think a really great one. Like I had mentioned, the public health sector that medical device manufacturers serve, you know, there is both the waste that they produce on the manufacturing end, and then there's what we could consider the post-consumer waste that they produce on the other end. The tongue depressor in the sterile package becomes the tongue depressor in the little biohazard bin after the doctor uses it. So we're going to look at both of these waste streams and where we might be able to intersect with it as the Austin Materials Marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah, and then a whole other, you know, side of this is, you know, I know a couple of biomedical engineers in my personal life, you know, and it's, you know, when you talk about harnessing some excess brain capacity to think about these materials in another way, I couldn't think of a better field to tap into.
Absolutely.
When thinking creatively about these things. Let's jump right into our first sort of specific material that we want to highlight today. It's a material that's actually in our program right now. So one of our medical device companies that we have participated in identified this material, and it's something called zeolite. When I first saw this, I got really excited because it's such a cool name. But, you know, the deeper that we dug into it, we also saw that it's a really neat and interesting material for us to be looking at as well. So a relatively small medical device company can make up to 45 pounds per week. That number could be higher, could be lower, but I think that we're going to show here that regardless of the quantity, it's still a really valuable material for us to be thinking about. So zeolite, it can be made in a number of different ways and made up of a few different things structurally. But in general, it's a microporous mineral commonly used as a commercial absorbent or as a catalyst. It's abundant in nature, but most industrial zeolite comes from artificial synthesis. Zeolite-based oxygen concentrator systems, that's a mouthful, are being used to produce medical-grade oxygen. And zeolites are made up of rigid pores, small enough to absorb both liquids and gases. So we've been doing a lot of research into zeolite, Joaquin and I, and some of our colleagues working on this program, and we've uncovered a lot of really interesting reuse opportunities for this that we certainly didn't know about before, but we're really excited to take a closer look at here.
Yeah, so they kind of, again, like the industry itself that runs the gamut of a range of other industries, zeolite has a lot of applications across industries that are really important, already in use, and I think that we could potentially be promoting the use of here in Austin. So we kind of wanted to highlight 3 of them here. First one in the top right corner there, that is a solar heating element. Zeolite, actually it stores up to 4 times more heat than water, right? So it's a perfect heat storage material. In addition to being able to store large amounts of heat, it also emits large amounts of heat, and it does that through a chemical reaction when it absorbs water. So think of zeolite as a rock-like sponge. As it absorbs water, it concentrates that heat. As it dries out, that it can emit that heat. So solar heating, as we look into the future into alternative energy, solar heating is obviously going to be an important component of that, and one that zeolite could potentially play a role in. Additionally, zeolite has a lot of applications in the construction industry. One that is also booming here in Austin, as everybody knows when they look outside their windows at all of the construction cranes and all the road crews. Zeolite is a product that can be mixed with warm mix asphalt concrete. You would do that for a number of reasons. First, it can actually decrease the temperature level during the manufacturing of the material, right? Which is, if anybody's very familiar with the manufactured concrete material, it's a pretty energy intensive process. So any material that can help decrease that heat is highly necessary and highly wanted. As a kind of, once the asphalt material is already poured, zeolite helps to improve walkability of the surface. It improves the strength of the surface so that it's less prone to breaking. It does that by, again, lowering that heat. It slows down the drying time of the material. As you know, concrete, the slower it dries, the stronger it is. Right? So incredibly important in the construction industry. And then lastly, it is important in a product that we use every day, laundry detergent, cleaning products. And it, again, as Daniel said, zeolite is this highly absorbent mineral. It's used in laundry detergent for that reason. It can absorb water. It can absorb things as fine as gases. So in laundry detergent, it helps remove odors and dirt from water and gases. So three really important products, and that kind of just bites off the corner of what the potential that zeolite has in other uses.
Absolutely. I think we also saw opportunities to use it in agriculture as a soil amendment too, because of its water absorbent capabilities and its ability to redistribute that water over time. So yeah, just a really, really fascinating material, and one I think that there's probably a lot of opportunity to do something
Sure.
with.
And we had talked about how this is a material that we've highlighted already through our efforts and through our network that does exist here in Austin, and just want to stress that because it's coming from the medical device industry, the quality of the zeolite being produced here in Austin is very high. It's not contaminated. Actually, a waste product is because it is the type of zeolite that this company needs, and their product has to be perfectly dry. So any zeolite that's absorbed any amount of liquid is no longer usable to them. So this is a slightly moist zeolite product, waste product that again is clean and ready for the picking.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's kind of the same idea that we chatted about with the breweries the other day. You're when you just focus on the product coming out of the door, you sometimes forget that the things coming out of the other door, the back door, have applications as well.
For sure.
So I think this is a perfect example of that. So moving on to our second example that we have, let's take a look at blue wrap. So blue wrap is used for wrapping surgical instruments for sterilization purposes. It's made out of polypropylene, or number 5 plastic. Nearly 20% of a hospital's waste stream comes from surgical services, of which oftentimes is made up of clean blue wrap. And again, as Joaquin said, you know, we have over 30 hospitals in Austin. That number is growing soon. And so we're talking about a tremendous amount of waste. One operating room can produce up to 100 pounds of blue wrap per week. And as we said, a large portion of this blue wrap is not a biohazard. So those considerations are a little less emphasized when we think about safety in that sense. Joaquin, what are some good reuse opportunities for blue wrap that we can be looking at?
Yeah, so you mentioned that blue wrap is a polypropylene plastic. It's plastic number 5. This is a very commonly recycled waste material, right? All the way from the plastic that's in your little yogurt cup potentially to blue wrap, right? So there are a lot of markets for polypropylene. The challenge with blue wrap in the hospital setting is just collecting it. Once it's collected and separated from the traditional waste stream, it can go into any variety of industrial plastic products. We have an image there of these blue plastic pallets that are actually made out of a polypropylene that has come from blue wrap. All the way to up in the right hand corner, you see a pile of small blue pellets. That's the pelletized version of polypropylene plastic. That's essentially what the raw material looks like after it's been recycled. And then in the bottom corner, it's kind of hard to tell what that is, but it's actually a little business card holder manufactured from a 3D printer. So polypropylene is a very common feedstock in 3D printing. An industry and kind of a trend, maybe even, or a movement, you could even say, that's growing and developing here in Austin and the rest of the world. So, blue wrap has a wide range of uses after it's recycled. It's here in Austin right now, to our knowledge, there are no medical facilities that are recycling it in great numbers. We have found some really awesome examples on the West Coast of clinics that are recycling. One of them in Irvine specifically that is recycling 600 pounds a week of this stuff through a partnership with Goodwill. And then it's actually ending up at a recycler in Houston, of all places. So, blue wrap is it's one of these items that, like Daniel said, it makes up a huge bit of a hospital's waste stream. It comes directly from the medical device manufacturing sector. And is a huge example of one of these post-consumer byproducts, waste products of these two industries, and one that I think there's a lot of opportunity for here in Austin. As we connect the traditional recycling network to the business community more and more on an industrial level, I think this will be an interesting waste stream to focus on and work on diverting from our landfills.
Yeah, certainly. The 3D printing side of that always gets me really excited. That's one of the sort of fantasies that we've been tossing around for a long time is, what if you could take a relatively clean recycled plastic, blue wrap is a great example to start with, process that into a 3D printer, and then have a local company, and maybe even a medical device company, so to remanufacture that through 3D printing into a new product. Again, a local closed loop system, taking a recycled plastic that's generated locally and making it into something totally new, all within Central Texas would be a dream come true. That would be a fascinating thing to see happen. I'm just going to check and see if we've had any questions come in. Yeah, so no questions yet from our audience, but again, I want to remind you that if you do have any questions, go ahead and type them into your screen. If you've got a material that you want us to talk about, go ahead and plug that in there as well, and maybe we can get to that by the time we close up shop here. So we've kind of talked about two of our specific materials that we know about. As we mentioned in our introduction, there's a lot of diversity in the medical device sector. So it's really hard to kind of put our finger on a specific material that's shared by this entire sector. But one thing we did want to just sort of touch on here at the end is as a part of your manufacturing and design processes, there's probably a lot of things that either come to you that are slightly off spec that can't be used, or things that become off spec due to a change in design or something like that. And so the question here, I'll ask you this question, Joaquin, is what do you do when a box of widgets shows up and it's the wrong widget, we obviously don't want that getting tossed into the landfill. What role do we play there?
Absolutely. This is an issue that I think comes up for any manufacturer, and for any end user of a product for that matter, right? Like you said, you get a package in the mail, you open it, and it's 1,000 pieces of a widget that you absolutely cannot use. So whether that goes back to the manufacturer, you have to deal with it yourself. It becomes a challenge. You can throw it in the landfill. There's one option. The other option is to filter it through our network, right? Where we can, the potential that we carry through this network is to either find end users that can use that exact same component. Perhaps it's a little off spec for you. It's not off spec for somebody else. Or we can find a recycling market that can easily and willingly recycle it, right? So if this is a metal component or a plastic component or a rubber component, even a chemical solvent, a chemical mixture, right? One company may not be able to use it if it's off spec, but what we're trying to do with this network is put together a range of businesses that we can tap and that we can reach out to that could potentially use these things instead of them being wasted. So it's not just post-consumer waste. It's not just scrap that comes from your manufacturing process. It's off-spec items. It's mistakes. It's all the stuff that falls through the cracks.
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about this. A great way of thinking about our role in this whole network. Good. Well, on that note, we will for today. We certainly hope that you found this presentation useful. Again, just to remind you, if you weren't tuning in at the beginning, we do have an event coming up next week. It's our first working meeting. It's a morning meeting, and we would certainly love to see you there. And that's on Wednesday next week. You can find more information on our upcoming events and the project and interesting material highlights and all sorts of good stuff on our website, which is austinmaterialsmarketplace.org. And please don't hesitate to get in touch with our project team to get involved in the project. Thanks, everyone, and we hope you have a great weekend.